get going. All right, everyone. Thanks for signing in to the last night. The last two chapters, 56 questions. So let's jump right in. And then at the end, we'll have Bill KI7 Oscar India tell us about his passing the test and all of the fun stuff that he got to do in the online. So we'll jump right in. So chapter 10 is all about propagation, radio propagation. So we're going to learn about electromagnetic waves, solar effects on propagation, ground wave and sky wave, long path and gray line, the radio horizon, tropospheric and trans-equatorial propagation, auroral, meteor scatter, and Earth-Moon Earth or EME, moon bounce. 4-section, 45 questions, and only 17 pages. So that was short, a lot of stuff in it. So we'll jump into flux. And what is meant by circularly polarized electromagnetic waves? A, waves with an electric field bent into a circular shape. B, waves with a rotating electric field. C, waves that circle the Earth. Or D, waves produced by a loop antenna.
Bravo.
Bravo is correct.
Bravo.
Which of the following descriptors indicates the greatest solar flare intensity? A, Class A, B, Class B, C, Class M, or D, Class X?
Delta.
Delta is correct, Class X. How does the intensity of an X3 flare compare to that of an X2 flare? A, 10% greater, B, 50% greater, C, twice as great, or D, 4 times as great?
Bravo.
Bravo.
Ooh, I heard a lot. Bravo is the correct.
That's what I was going to
I
say.
blew it.
50% greater.
Yeah, I knew that. I knew the answer to that. I'm not worried.
What does the 304A solar parameter measure? A, the ratio of X-ray flux to radio flux correlated to sunspot number. B, UV emissions at 304 angstroms correlated to the solar flux index. C, the solar wind velocity at 304 degrees from the solar equator correlated to solar activity. Or D, the solar emission at 304 gigahertz correlated to X-ray flare levels.
Bravo.
Bravo, yeah.
Bravo is correct. What is indicated by a rising A or K index? A, increasing disruption of the geomagnetic field. B, decreasing disruption of the geomagnetic field. C, higher levels of solar UV radiation. Or D, an increase in the critical frequency.
Alpha.
Alpha is correct, an increasing disruption of the geomagnetic field. What does the value of B sub Z represent? A, geomagnetic field stability. B, critical frequency for vertical transmissions. C, direction and strength of the interplanetary magnetic field. Or D, duration of long delayed echoes.
Charlie.
B sub Z is Charlie, direction and strength of the interplanetary magnetic field. What Orientation of B sub z increases the likelihood that incoming particles from the sun will cause disturbed conditions. A, southward, B, northward, C, eastward, or D, westward.
B.
Alpha.
Oh,
Alpha is correct, southward. What does the space weather term G5 mean? A, an extreme geomagnetic storm. B, very low solar activity. C, moderate solar wind. Or D, waning sunspot numbers.
oh,
Alpha.
G5 means alpha, an extreme geomagnetic storm. How does the maximum range of ground wave propagation change when the signal frequency is increased? A, it stays the same. B, it increases. C, it decreases. D, it peaks at roughly 14 megahertz.
Charlie.
Charlie.
Charlie is correct, it decreases. What type of polarization is best for ground wave propagation? A, vertical, B, horizontal, C, circular, or D, elliptical?
Alpha.
Alpha is correct. Vertical is the best for ground wave propagation. Yeah.
Jim, I don't know if anybody else is having this problem, but the questions are lagging your question. It's like right now on my screen it says, "What does the space weather term G5 mean?"
I'm not having that issue. You might have bandwidth problems.
Yeah, that must be some kind of bandwidth
Dr.
on your internet or something, because yeah, anybody else seeing that?
Nope.
I'm on iChart 10.3 right now.
That's what I see.
what do you see now?
Carl, are you there?
I'm here.
Oh, Joe.
Are we okay now, or are we back in sync?
I don't know if Joe's still there. I think he dropped.
Well, right now, just switched over to what type of polarization is best for ground wave propagation.
Wow.
So I don't know if the problem's at my end or what.
It's
All I
your
can
end because your
report is
audio
that-
sounds choppy as well.
Yeah, Joe, unfortunately, I have to agree. It sounds like you might be having some internet, because your audio is also coming in and out.
Okay.
One thing that, can you go ahead and go to the stop the sharing of your video, and maybe that will help out with, because when you're sending video, that's eating up a lot more band space, and hopefully that'll help you out. Or not, it sounds like
I
it
think he dropped out.
dropped out. Yeah. If somebody notices that he's back, oh, there he
Back.
is. Okay, you're
Okay.
back.
Does that sound better now?
Oh, it sounds way better.
Okay, well, I stopped video.
Yeah, let's give that a shot.
Okay.
Okay. What might help to restore contact when DX signals become too weak to copy across an entire HF band a few hours after sunset? A, switch to a higher frequency HF band. B, switch to a lower frequency HF band. Or C, wait 90 minutes or so for the signal degradation to pass. Or D, wait 24 hours before attempting another communication on the band.
Bravo.
Bravo is correct. Switch to a lower frequency HF band. Why is chordal hop desirable? A, the signal experiences less loss compared to a multi-hop using Earth as a reflector. B, the MUF for chordal hop propagation is much lower than for normal skip propagation. C, atmospheric noise is lower in the direction of the chordal hop propagation. Or D, signals travel faster along ionospheric chords.
Alpha.
Delta.
Ooh, I heard a couple of different ones. Alpha is correct. The signal experiences less loss compared to multi-hop using Earth as a reflector. Chordal hop, wow. What is the primary characteristics of chordal hop propagation? A, propagation away from the great circle bearing between stations. B, successive ionospheric refractions without an intermediate reflection from the ground. C, propagation across the geomagnetic equator. D, signals reflected back towards the transmitting station.
Bravo.
Bravo.
Bravo is correct. What is meant by the terms extraordinary and ordinary waves? A, extraordinary waves describe rare long skip propagation compared to ordinary waves which travel shorter distances. B, independent waves created in the ionosphere that are elliptically polarized. C, long path and short path waves. Or D, refracted rays and reflected rays waves.
Bravo.
Bravo. Independent waves created in the ionosphere that are elliptically polarized is correct. What happens to linearly polarized radio? It reads so much easier when I'm just reading. What happens to linearly polarized radio waves that split into ordinary and extraordinary waves in the ionosphere? A, they are bent towards the magnetic poles. B, they become depolarized. C, they become elliptically polarized. Or D, they become phase locked.
Charlie.
Charlie is correct. They become elliptically polarized. What does the radio communication term ray tracing describe? A, the process in which an electronic display presents a pattern. B, modeling a radio wave path through the ionosphere. C, determining the radiation pattern from an array of antennas. Or D, evaluating high voltage sources for X-rays.
Bravo.
Bravo.
Bravo is correct. Modeling a radio wave's path through the ionosphere. What does VOACAP software model? A, AC voltage and impedance. B, VHF radio propagation. C, HF propagation. Or D, AC current and impedance.
Charlie.
Charlie.
Charlie is correct. HF propagation. Which of the following signal paths is most likely to experience high levels of absorption when the A index or K index is elevated? A, transequatorial, excuse me, B, polar, C, sporadic E, or D, NVIS?
Bravo.
Bravo is correct, polar. What might be indicated by a sudden rise in radio background noise across a large portion of the HF spectrum? A, temperature inversion has occurred. B, solar flare has occurred. C, increased transequatorial propagation is likely. Or D, long path propagation is likely.
Bravo.
Bravo is correct. A solar flare has occurred. Which amateur bands typically support long path propagation? A, only 160 meters to 40 meters. B, only 30 meters to 10 meters. C, 160 meters to 10 meters. Or D, 6 meters to 2 meters.
Charlie.
Charlie.
Charlie is correct. Which of the following amateur bands most frequently provides long path propagation? A, 80 meters, B, 20 meters, C, 10 meters, or D, 6 meters?
Bravo.
Bravo.
Bravo, 20 meters is correct. 14 more questions. By how much does the VHF and UHF radio horizon distance extend the geometric horizon? Tongue twister tonight. A, by approximately 15% of the distance. B, by approximately twice the distance. C, by approximately 50% of the distance. Or D, by approximately 4 times the distance.
Alpha.
Alpha.
Alpha is correct, by approximately 15% of the distance. Why does the radio path horizon distance exceed the geometric horizon? A, the E region skip. B, the D region skip. C, due to the Doppler effect. Or D, the downward bending due to density variations in the atmosphere.
Delta.
Delta, the longest question. Downward bending due to density variations in the atmosphere is correct. What do Hepburn maps predict? A, sporadic E propagation. B, locations of auroral reflecting zones. C, the likelihood of rain scatter along cold or warm fronts. Or D, probability of tropospheric propagation.
Delta.
Charlie.
Delta.
Delta is the winner. Probability of tropospheric propagation is the correct answer. Tropospheric propagation of microwave signals often occurs in association with what phenomenon? A, the gray line. B, lightning discharges. C, warm and cold fronts. D, sprites and jets.
Charlie.
Charlie.
Charlie is correct. Warm and cold fronts. Atmospheric ducts capable of propagating microwave signals often form over what geographic feature? A, mountain ranges. B, forests. C, bodies of water. Or D, urban areas.
Charlie.
Charlie.
Charlie is correct, over bodies of water. What type of atmospheric structure can create a path for microwave propagation? A, the jet stream. B, temperature inversion. C, wind shear. Or D, a dust devil.
Bravo.
Bravo is correct, a temperature inversion. Be kind of hard to do a dust devil.
It would.
What is a typical range for tropospheric propagation of microwave signals? A, 10 miles to 50 miles. B, 100 miles to 300 miles. C, 1,200 miles. Or D, 2,500 miles.
Bravo.
Bravo.
Oh,
Bravo is correct, 100 miles to 300 miles. At what time of year is sporadic E propagation most likely to occur? A, around the solstices, especially during summer solstice. B, around the solstices, especially the winter solstice. C, around the equinoxes, especially the spring equinox. Or D, around the equinoxes, especially the fall equinox.
Alpha.
alpha.
Alpha is correct. Around the solstices, especially summer solstice. At what time of day can sporadic E propagation occur? A, only around sunset. B, only around sunset and sunrise. C, only in hours of darkness. Or D, any time.
Delta.
Delta can occur at any time. What is transequatorial propagation? A, propagation between two mid-latitude points at approximately the same distance north and south of the magnetic equator. B, propagation between points located on the magnetic equator. C, propagation between a point on the equator and its antipodal point. D, propagation between points at the same latitude.
Alpha.
Alpha.
Alpha, the longest question. What is the approximate maximum range for signals using transequatorial propagation? A, 1,000 miles. B, 2,500 miles. C, 5,000 miles. Or D, 7,500 miles.
Charlie.
Charlie is correct, 5,000 miles. What is the best time of day for transequatorial propagation? A, in the morning. B, at noon. C, afternoon or early evening. Or D, late at night.
Charlie.
Charlie is correct, in the afternoon or in the early evening. What is the cause of auroral activity? A, the interaction in the F2 layer between the solar wind and the Van Allen belt. B, an extreme low pressure area in the polar regions. C, the interaction in the E layer of charged particles from the sun with the Earth's magnetic field. Or D, meteor showers concentrated in the extreme northern and southern latitudes.
Charlie.
Charlie is correct. Which of these emission modes is the best for auroral propagation? A, CW. B, SSB. C, FM. Or D, Heridi.
Alpha.
CW is correct. That leaves me out because I'm still learning all the characters. It's like another language. Ah!
I know E and T.
Yeah, I know E and T. E.T. phone home. Okay, which of the following digital modes is designed for meteor scatter communications? A, WSPR. B, MSK144. C, Hellschreiber. Or D, A, E, S.
Uh-oh.
Bravo is correct. SK144. Which of the following is a good technique for making meteor scatter contacts? A, 15-second timed transmission sequences with stations alternating between a location. B, use of special digital modes. C, short transmissions with rapidly repeated call signs and signal reports. Or D, all these choices are correct.
Delta.
Delta is correct, all of these. When a meteor strikes the Earth's atmosphere, a cylindrical region of free electrons is formed at what layer of the ionosphere? A, the E layer, B, the F1 layer, C, the F2 layer, or D, the D layer?
A.
Alpha is correct, the E layer. Which of the following frequency ranges is most suited for meteor scatter communications? A, 1.8 megahertz to 1.9 megahertz. B, 10 megahertz to 14 megahertz. C, 28 megahertz to 148 megahertz. Or D, 220 megahertz to 450 megahertz.
Charlie.
Charlie is correct, 28 megahertz to 144 megahertz. I would like to do that sometime, but have to get some better equipment. Which of the following digital modes is especially useful for EME communications? A, MSK144, B, Pactor 3, C, Olivia, or D, JT65?
Delta. I got to meet that guy.
You did. Cool. What was he? Was he very cordial, very talkative?
Oh, yeah, he was amazing. He was a scientist who wanted to share with the world.
Yeah, that's cool. What is one advantage of the JT65 mode? A, it uses only a 65 hertz bandwidth. B, the ability to decode signals which have a very low signal to noise ratio. C, easily copied by ear if necessary. D, permits fast scan TV transmissions over narrow bandwidths.
Bravo.
Bravo is correct. The ability to decode signals which have a very low signal to noise ratio. Which of the following describes a method of establishing EME contacts? A, time synchronous transmissions alternately from each station. B, storing and forwarding digital messages. C, judging optimum transmission times by monitoring beacons reflected from the moon. D, high-speed CW identification to avoid fading.
Alpha.
Alpha is correct. Time synchronous transmissions alternately from each station. What is the approximate maximum separation measured along the surface of the Earth between two stations communicating by EME? A, 500 miles if the moon is at perigee. B, 2,000 miles if the moon is at apogee. C, 5,000 miles if the moon is at perigee. Or D, 12,000 miles if the moon is visible by both stations.
Delta.
Delta, wow, 12,000 miles. That's crazy.
Takes you
What?
500,000 miles to get there.
Yeah. What characterizes liberation fading of an EME signal? A slow change in the pitch of the CW signal. B, fluttery, irregular fading. C, a gradual loss of signal as the sun rises. Or D, the returning echo is several hertz lower in frequency than the transmitted signal.
Bravo.
Bravo is correct. A fluttery, irregular fading. Rubber baby buggy bumpers. Wow, sometimes my tongue just doesn't want to work. And it does. You can really read things a lot easier than speaking them. When scheduling EME contacts, which will generate in least perigee? B, when the moon is full. C, when the moon is at apogee. Or D, when the MUF is above 30 megahertz.
Charlie.
Alpha.
Alpha.
Alpha is the correct answer. When the moon is at perigee.
At its closest approach.
When the moon hits. No one, sorry. Dab. That's all, folks. All righty. One more to go. Yeah, dum. All right. Chapter 11, all about safety. What? Not really. 11 questions? Are you kidding me? Terrible. I guess you have to wrap up the technician and the general and the extra to get all your safety questions, because 11 just doesn't seem right. Hazardous substances.
It doesn't seem right because there's so many things they can ask about your safety, and they should here on the extra, but they bring it down to one section, and it's I think they add more questions on that. This is Daniel.
Yeah, thanks, Daniel. And it sounds like you're in your car still.
Yeah, we knew that, Daniel.
Yeah, I am. I finally got signed. I got out of my meeting.
Okay, 11 questions. And our nice little eye chart, hazardous material, RF exposure. How may dangerous levels of carbon monoxide from an emergency generator be detected? A, by the odor. B, only with a carbon monoxide detector. C, only any ordinary smoke detector can be used. Or D, by the yellowish appearance of the gas.
Bravo.
Bravo.
Bravo is correct. Only with a carbon monoxide detector.
Mustard gas.
Mustard gas, yeah.
Yellowish.
Which insulating material commonly used as a thermal conductor for some types of electronic devices is extremely toxic if broken or crushed and the particles are accidentally inhaled? A, mica. B, zinc oxide. C, beryllium oxide. Or D, uranium hexafluoride.
Charlie.
Boy, they all sound really dangerous, but Charlie is correct. Beryllium oxide. I don't think
Where you're going to run across a beryllium oxide is your high power output tubes like your CX4000s and 10,000s like that. They bring them out of broadcast the industry into amateur use to get a full can, 1,500 watts out. And we don't power them up to 3,000 volts they normally use on there. But it's a white ceramic on the outside. Don't scratch it with your fingernail. On some of the tubes, there's warnings on some of the boxes. Okay. But by the time we get them, they may not be in boxes. And they're sometimes they're 3 or 4 inches in diameter, and the outer ring has vertical fins up and down on it. on those high power tubes.
Yeah, I've seen on the Ham Nation a couple of the pictures of some of those transmission tubes. Crazy looking size.
Yeah, they can be 6 inches or bigger. A lot of times what we're seeing is the CX 1000, 2000, 4000s, maybe 10,000, and they're only about
the
3
smaller
to 4
ones.
inches. Yeah, 3 to 4 inches in diameter on thing.
Yeah. What's the George's channel? They've got his Ham. It's not Ham Nation. Amateur Logic TV. He's got the really cool call sign with the tube sitting there in it. Okay. What toxic material may be present in some electronic components such as high voltage capacitors and transformers? Polychlorinated biphenyls, B, polyethylene, C, polytetrafluoroethylene, D, polymorphic silicon.
Alpha.
Alpha.
Alpha is correct. Polychlorinated biphenyls. PBC? PCB, yeah. When evaluating RF exposure levels from your station at your neighbor's home, what must you do? A, ensure signals from your station are less than the controlled maximum permitted exposure MPE limits. B, ensure signals from your station are less than the uncontrolled maximum permitted exposure MPE limits. C, ensure signals from your station are less than the controlled maximum permitted emission MPE limits. Or D, ensure signals from your station are less than the uncontrolled maximum permitted emission MPE limits.
Now, this seems to me to be a double, just two answers repeated twice.
Yes.
Yep.
I can't see any
No.
difference.
No,
between-
one, actually, they're
They're not.
not. One is
They're not.
exposure and emission.
And emissions.
Yeah, one is exposure and one is emissions, but the wording is very, one is controlled and the other is uncontrolled, but they're worded so, these are definite good distractors.
Oh, it's Bravo.
So Bravo is correct, and you're looking for the uncontrolled maximum permitted exposure. So remember the exposure, not the emission, and uncontrolled.
Yeah, I didn't pick up on that emission
Yep.
difference.
Yeah, they're really sneaky with the distracting of the emissions. So look for uncontrolled exposure. Over what range of frequencies are the FCC human body RF exposure limits most restrictive? A, 300 kilohertz to 3 megahertz. B, 3 to 30 megahertz. C, 30 to 300 megahertz. Or another C, which is really the D, 300 to 3,000 megahertz. Gotta fix that one.
Charlie 1.
First, Charlie.
The first Charlie.
The first Charlie. Okay. Oh, here we go. Correct answer is the first Charlie. E0 Alpha 03. Fix
What is the actual frequency?
30 to 300 megahertz.
Why wouldn't it be the higher frequency one for microwave? Why wouldn't it be Charlie 2?
The body reacts differently because it's probably the frequency that energizes the water in our bodies from 10 meters to 220, something like that. They had a lot of data when they looked at this thing because of the troopers using radar guns, and the
Oh,
damage to the
yeah.
eyes. So they had an instant study group to look at it when they started researching it.
Wait on it, yeah.
And the 10 meters on up through the VHF range is the most dangerous, and it's limited to 50 watts before you have to do your calculations.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Daniel. I did not know that.
Yeah, so that was on the page 11-4, and there's the good diagram there that the lowest there is the 30 to 300 megahertz. All righty. Why are there separate electric E and magnetic H field MPE limits? A, the body reacts to electromagnetic radiation from both the E and H fields. B, ground reflections and scattering make the field strength vary with location. C, the E field and H field radiation intensity peaks can occur at different locations. Or D, all these choices are correct.
Delta.
Delta.
Delta, all these choices are correct. What does SAR measure? A, synthetic aperture ratio of the human body. B, signal amplification rating. C, the rate at which RF energy is absorbed by the body. Or D, the rate of RF energy reflected from stationary terrain.
Charlie.
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 Charlie is correct. The rate at which RF energy is absorbed by the body. Which of the following injuries can result from using high power UHF or microwave transmitters? A, hearing loss caused by high voltage corona discharge. B, blood clotting from the intense magnetic field. C, localized heating of the body from RF exposure in excess of the MPE limits. Or D, the ingestion of ozone gas from the cooling system.
Question.
Charlie.
Charlie.
Yeah. Question?
Question, yes. So localized heating of the body. So is this just external on the skin, like a small area, or would it be a large area of the body, like a sunburn?
Negative. It's you think of a microwave, how it heats things up. If that radio wave's going through your finger, it's going to do the finger. That's why they call it localized, but it goes way deeper than the skin. It actually heats the muscles and the tissues underneath. It takes longer to heal, and is painful and sometimes it can take years to heal. It's not like a surface burn.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay. When evaluating a site with multiple transmitters operating at the same time, the operators and licenses of which transmitters are responsible for mitigating overexposure situations? A, only the most powerful transmitter. B, only commercial transmitters. C, each transmitter that produces 5% or more of its MPE limit in areas where the total MPE limit is exceeded. Or D, each transmitter operating with a duty cycle of greater than 50%.
Charlie.
Charlie is the correct answer. Each transmitter that produces 5% or more of its MPE limit in areas where the total MPE limit is exceeded.
Now that is in regards to the FCC, but the site manager may go down way deeper than that. If you're down to 1% of or even creating any power on his site, he may consider your transmissions in his calculations there. We face these things on mountaintops all the time with repeaters.
Okie dokie. What is one of the potential hazards of operating in the amateur radio microwave bands? A, microwaves are ionizing radiation. B, the high gain antennas commonly used can result in high exposure levels. C, microwaves often travel long distances by ionospheric reflection. D, the extremely high frequency energy can damage the joints of antenna structures.
Bravo.
Bravo.
Bravo is correct. The high gain antennas commonly used can result in high exposure levels.
By definition, microwave is any frequency above 300 megahertz where you're less than 1 meter in wavelength. A lot of times we think of more microwave up in the 2 gig and 5.8 gig range, but it really is anything above 300 megahertz. So 440 is actually a microwave frequency.
Well, okay. Ooh, one whole question on lightning dissipation. What is the primary function of an external earth connection or ground rod? A, reduce receive noise. B, lightning protection. C, reduce RF current flow between pieces of equipment. Or C, reduce RFI to telephones and home entertainment systems.
Bravo.
Bravo.
Bravo is correct. Lightning protection. Dib, dib, dib. That's all, folks. So that concludes all chapters of the book. So any questions, any thoughts before I ask our special guest, our special test passer? I'm going to stop sharing. So Bill has already taken the test and passed. Congrats, Bill. And I will go ahead and you can share your screen and let us know your thoughts on how things went and what the process was for your test.
All right. I went to the ARRL website a week ago Friday, and you punch in your zip code and look for a local test, and it came up with the Lake Washington Ham Club. So I called the number, which was the wrong phone number, ended up someplace on the East Coast. So then they gave an email address for a guy named Dave Wickard, who happens to be the president of that club. So I sent him an email saying, hi, the posted phone number's wrong. I'm interested in taking the exam. And so he sent back a link, which is that link. And that document will give you every bit of information. That's the chat thing that I shared. It gives you all the information you need to find an exam, sign up for the exam, and take the exam. From my experience, it was smoothly operated and very professional. Went really well. It turns out I ended up at the Lake Washington Ham Club, and they have an affiliation with the Greater Los Angeles Amateur Radio Group, which is the that was their link to the FCC. And you show up, you log in on Zoom. They are very specific about the requirements. I posted the requested documents on my screen because instead of holding up a driver's license and try to get them to read it,
Yeah.
So I just by flipping up the ID and other documents on the screen, there was a lot easier on them. And then they were concerned that I would be able to see them during the test. I'm going, one of the other VEs pointed out that when they put the test up, it'll cover everything on my screen. So they were no longer concerned. Anyway, once you take the test, they give you an immediate scoring on the test. And then you fill out the paperwork to file with the VEC, and they submit it. And I had the honor of using the suffix /AE once, because the FCC recorded it the very next day.
Wow.
So when I did the general, it was almost 2 weeks for them to record it, but it was like the next afternoon it was recorded. So
Wow.
A
went real
question.
smooth. Yeah,
What about calculators?
use the calculator on your screen. You know, use the Windows calculator. You can set it up as a scientific calculator. And that's all you need.
Would you be able to use your own scientific calculator if you clear it in front of them? No. Okay.
Nope, they won't allow it. You got to use the Windows calculator. So become familiar with the Windows calculator.
Yeah. Thank you.
Question, what did you have to do for the documents? Did you need your FCC copy of your amateur license, and how did you
Yeah,
get?
may I share my screen?
Please.
Yeah, go ahead. So the big green shirt. Yeah, there you go.
If you can see my screen, there's my driver's license. You know, I just flip that up and whoops, I guess not. Maybe. Yeah. Okay. Very good. So show that to them.
Was that a scan or a photo?
That was a scan
Okay.
of my driver's license. Then I also did a passport just in case they didn't like my driver's license, because I didn't know who I'd be talking with. And they want your license. So that was my general license, you know, for reference, because they're going to ask you for, what was it? The
FRN
number.
No.
The FRN number.
Yeah, right, which is on right there, the FRN. So they want to know that.
Don't
Actually-
confuse the FRN with the file number that's
Right.
in the just past the center. It's,
Strangely enough, they already had the FRN number, even though they asked for it. How, I don't know.
your call sign.
Maybe.
So would electronic copies suffice for what they're looking for?
Well, I just copied, you know, what I had. So
It should.
anyway, it worked out pretty well.
And the email that you sent me, you said it worked out really well, and I go, well, you didn't tell me if you passed or you failed.
I didn't
And then I looked at the very bottom, and I go, oh, he put the AE at the end of his call site. Whoa!
So did you require two PCs, one to monitor the room and one to take the test?
Well, they will allow you to use a cell phone for the second, but I used two PCs.
And how
I
did you
used the
have
camera
them?
that I'm using right now, because they're going to ask you. They were very thorough about, okay, take the camera, scan the room, you know. They want to see everything, and they want to see it in detail.
Oh, boy. Okay.
Yeah, so I made a point of not doing it here, because look around me. I mean, they would have freaked if I had done it here. So I went up to another room in the house where I don't have anything, and emptied the room. They want the desk cleared. They want nothing on your desk. They want no posters, I was using my wife's office, and she had a few documents pinned to a cork board. I'd take everything down, just basically empty the room of anything that could be of concern to them. She has a keyboard drawer. They wanted me to pull out the keyboard drawer and let them see the keyboard drawer, because apparently they've had some bad experiences.
Really?
So they were very.
They will let
thorough
you
about
take
that.
it. The instructions say you can take it in your car. So
Yeah,
if you
you
have as
take it
much trouble as
outside
I
in the
do.
yard if it was good weather. I mean, you know, don't
Wow.
mind the big poster over on the fence over there.
They have recommended bathrooms also.
They have? For real?
There's generally no
Yeah.
posters in the bathroom, like you got the band chart behind your head there, Bill.
That's not a bad idea, Daniel, actually.
Whoosh.
Yeah, well, you're on the can taking the test, you know? So when you go, oh, wrong one, you can. I have a bad,
TMI.
yeah, really.
You might want to see the toilet paper roll. Make sure you got nothing written on it.
Yeah, pull it out. I want to see what's on that roll. Yeah. Anyway,
Take it
we're
all
very
off, put it
thorough
on the
about
sleeve.
that. So you gotta have a pretty antiseptic room or area in which to take the test, or they get very suspicious.
So
We
you had a
are at
phone
least,
and your laptop. Okay.
yeah, we're at least allowed to test with Zoom. So don't fight the restrictions these different people put on us. We are allowed to test, which is a huge jump this last year.
Now,
Yeah.
I checked the same site I had gone to and discovered that
Gotta get my license.
if you want to test, you better sign up well in advance because they're full.
Oh,
A
no.
lot of people are testing.
Yeah.
So I would propose that if you're ready to test or think that you're going to get ready to test, that you sign up. Now, I signed up a week ago Friday. I took the test on Monday. I got lucky and got an early test. Was Monday at 2:00. I showed up at 1:30 and they were ready for me.
So, Bill, how long did they give you to take the test?
As long as it takes.
See that? Now that's better. I like
Well,
that.
it doesn't take that long.
Yeah.
What do you mean by show up? You mean just dial into the Zoom meeting? They
I
gave you a
dialed
link?
into the Zoom and showed up, went through the identification process, and they said, all right, we'll send you to another little room and with 4 VEs. And they introduced themselves and turned off their cameras and said, go at it.
Interesting.
Oh, so
Then
they must share a screen that has the test right there then, right?
well, they have you go. I forget how that works, but you go to they give you an address to go to, and bam, there's the screen.
Okay,
And,
bud. Night.
so
Mhm.
the only comment they made at the end of the test, this is embarrassing, but I'm incontinent. So they said, "Okay, you can go now." You know. So they also commented that I was one of the very few people that actually works the equations. Most everybody just memorizes the answers. I thought they were very bored while I was working the equations.
Wow. So how many equation questions did you end up getting?
3,
3.
not that many.
Yeah. Yeah. It seemed like mine was about 3 also.
Yeah.
But
What
I
was your
heard,
score?
Pardon?
What did you score? Did you get them all right?
Yeah.
Wow.
He said, yeah, you got them all right.
I got lucky.
good deal.
Jim, my question is, have you anything about whether in the next couple of months you can do these tests in person?
Daniel.
I think we're going to be able to do that here after the 24th. My contact in Ballard has not come back to me. I'm going to push him here this next week. I am going to start a technician class in Browns Point in April, and we'll be an in-person class at that point. So we'll be having a test in April and sometime in person at that point. But I think we can start doing this if we keep it down to under 15 in a test session. We can do that with 5 VEs and 10 people, and then separate them in different tables like that, and time frame them differently. So we'll bring in 10 people at a time and roll them out, and another 10 and roll them out. In about a 2-hour period of time, we should be able to do about 30 at that point. But I'm expecting to be able to do that sometime after Monday.
Great.
When I inquired with the ARRL and the Lake Washington Ham Club came up as the possible solution, they meet at the Redmond City Hall. So I was, I have to travel up to Redmond. I'm in Kent. And then I found out, of course, they aren't doing any in-person examinations. Worked for me online real smooth. Why go to the trouble of showing up someplace or traveling when you can do it right then and there?
Yeah.
The Redmond the Lake Washington Amateur Radio Club has been second behind my team in licensing and testing people in the last 3 years or so. This year, because of COVID, we basically shut down, but they have continued on. We'll pick it up this next year.
Hey,
Yep.
what if we're a hoarder and we really don't have a good room?
You may be out of luck. You may be out of luck. Yeah.
Garage or
Daniel,
out in the front
where
porch,
did you
you know?
take-
Get a portable.
Daniel,
Yeah, the car.
Do it in my truck.
Do it in the yard.
So for us on this call, then, who want to do the online, do we have to go through what Bill went through, or is there something else going to be set up for us?
So I did reach out to Scott with the mic and key, and he has a limited number of slots that he's going to make available. Otherwise, he just goes through what's open up on the website. I'll get that ironed out with him later tonight, because I got busy with wrapping things up and forgot to ping him again on that. But for the technician in general, he set some up for the registration, but didn't put it out on the internet, and then he gave it to me so that you guys could get first dibs at getting assigned. So I'm going to see if I can get a few of those again, and then I'll reply so that you can go in and grab them. And then if people don't grab them, then he'll later open it up to the regular website and show them up there. Or you can do the Lake Washington. They're going to be similar.
Lake Washington.
Yeah.
Daniel,
It was a lot of trepidation, but ultimately a very satisfying, smoothly run operation. So I would propose that everybody look into it, because
Well, we plan on taking
while I was busy having lots of jitters, but it worked out really well. it's smooth.
Congratulations, Bill. Congratulations, Bill.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Yeah, congratulations, Bill.
Thank you all.
While we've
So-
been on the phone, I was able to register online for a test online out of Vegas on Sunday.
All
Oh,
right.
wow.
Wow.
Good deal. Are you going to Vegas?
No, my brother lives there, but I can do it online.
Good deal. So we finished up early. Is there anyone that wants to hang out and do a couple of practice tests?
Not at this
Bill, I
time.
know Bill wants to do a practice.
I don't
Bill.
want to my score.
Thanks a lot.
Don't want.
No, I have to go.
Okay.
no, but,
All right.
Jim, where did Daniel say the location would be for the in-person testing, if they have it?
It'll.
I'm working on getting one in Ballard, and we'll be doing in April, we'll be doing one in Browns Point, which is at the west end of Federal Way, down at the water. We'll be down at the fire station down there. And I was just talking to one of their team members tonight. They get their meetings on Tuesday nights, and they're requesting a class, so we'll be able to put that together sometime in April.
Okay, thank you.
Cool.
I'll keep Jim informed so he can pass the word out to you guys.
Yeah, we'll keep the emails going, and I'll do a wrap up with this link that Bill sent to us, and maybe just add in the PDF, and also I'll share this stuff from Scott, because it's a very similar. It looked very similar to Scott's doing his group with this. So thank you for. This was my first round. It's been a learning experience for me too, especially with some of those slide decks that I thought that I had reviewed them, and then you find the 2 C's or the wrong page number, but hey, it all worked out. So the next class will be even smoother.
When will you publish those openings for the testing sessions?
I need to ping Scott one more time because I didn't get around to doing that, and I'm sorry
Probably
about
later
that.
tonight or tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, great. Thanks.
Yep.
Thanks.
Yep.
Thanks,
Because
Jim.
he reserved like 10 or so, and people didn't jump on it right away. So he kind of said, well, and I said, oh, don't worry, I'll get you more people.
So 2 other questions. Bill, did you have to pay anything? And if so, how did that form of payment work?
$10. They wanted either PayPal or I think it was PayPal that when you sign up, you pay your money.
Okay.
They send you a confirmation email saying, yeah, we got your money. Here's a link to a receipt. So if you want to print out a receipt, you can do that.
Yeah, that's what Scott does too.
Yeah.
Okay. So Jim, you're thinking maybe 15 slots. So could we see a show of hands here tonight? How many people are ready for that? Who would jump on that? Or do we have more slots?
I don't think that there's going to be 15 slots made available from Scott. I think he'll probably limit it to 5 to 10, to be honest with you, because he got a little frustrated with me because some of my earlier people didn't jump on board right away. That's why I was trying to, there's the link, sessions right there.
So instead of a first come, first serve, is there any fair way to dole those out to all the people here tonight? Maybe a lottery system or random draw, or what do you guys think about that? Because there's probably more than 5 people here willing to take the test, right? Or ready.
Yeah. When I get the stuff, let me know, and I'll work with Scott to make it happen.
Yeah, I'm ready right now, so you can put me down. Do you need an email
No,
confirmation?
he said he was going to send you a link. Just
Oh,
go
you'll send
sign
a
up,
link. Okay.
sign up.
Yeah. I'll send a link with the private share, so they won't be out. It won't be it won't be a link that's out on the internet, but it'll be a private link that you can click on and register and do all of that. So Steve, I appreciate you ready to go and ready to do it. And I know that there'll be a few more of the extra or generals going to extra compared to newbies that were, I'm not ready even to do my technician. And that's where I kind of fell out. Was I thought that a lot more technicians were gonna take the test, or new people to take the technician, and he reserved a whole chunk, and then nobody signed up. And I said, well, don't worry, I can reuse those same slots for the people that are technician that want to go to general, because they already got skin in the game. And it went a lot smoother, and they filled out a lot more. So going from general to extra, I think he'll work something with me. I'll work with him. And worst comes to worst, we go to Ham Study sessions online, the links that are in the chat, or Lake Washington. But we'll work with you. We'll work to get something going.
Okay. We'll just wait to hear from you.
All righty. So no practice tests. We're done.
Yep.
Okie dokie. I didn't
Thank
hear
you.
any.
Thank you, Jim.
All righty.
Thanks.
Thanks, Jim.
And I'll send everybody a link for the meeting this Saturday
Yes.
with KE0OG. That'll be good.
So how quickly, or I shouldn't say how quickly, how early can we sign up so that we get a slot?
Oh, sorry. For the meeting, it's first come, first serve. So get on as soon as you can. Come and join us for the virtual coffee and donuts at 9:30. Now, with that being said, the last time the highest we've had was 70 people. So I haven't broke the 100 barrier, but I know that Dave there's a lot of Augies out there, as the saying goes. There's a lot of Augies out there, so we may hit the limit. But yeah, come early, do some virtual coffee and donuts. 9:30 is when I'll open.
Thanks again.
Okay.
Have a great night.
Have a good evening. Thanks for doing the class, and I'll send some email later tonight or tomorrow.
Thanks, Jim. Thanks, Daniel.
Thanks again, Jim.
Thank you, guys. Thanks, Daniel.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Jim. Appreciate it.
Jeff. I don't think I'm quite ready yet, but I'm getting there. Yeah.